So we're back on talking about how to drive employee engagement. And one of the things that can tank out employee engagement just happens to be friction, right? So we're all trying to get along. We're all trying to go ahead and to go about our day, but some team members aren't getting along. Maybe there's personality conflicts, differences of opinion, and it becomes a smoldering hot mess. This definitely makes employees disengaged. Everybody has different personality types. Some enjoy conflict, some stay as far away from it as possible. But when this is something on the floor, all too often it can get ignored or just like, oh, hopefully it blows over. The problem with it blowing over is it builds over time. And there tends to be two types of friction. There tends to be the type of friction between employees and between the employer or leader and employee. What I know is that so many times leaders and managers spend so much time talking about a troubled employee and less time acting on it. Because we have to do the following. We have to call an awkward meeting. And if you're not in the routine habit of having meetings with your team, this now becomes awkward. We're concerned about the blowback. We don't know if it's going to be fixed. We go to that worst case scenario, which is they fire or they quit and now got to train and everything. And so we sort of just put up with it, hoping for the best. I'm going to tell you hoping for the best is a great way to drive yourself crazy. It's the definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So instead, if you want to drive employee engagement, what we recommend is you have routine meetings with your team. So there's a space to talk about everything, good and bad. And if you slip that into a meeting that you have with your team every week, bi-weekly or monthly, it's like, hey, this came up, can we talk about it? It's a little bit less intense than calling this big separate intense meeting. If you're in the routine habit of coaching, which is what we're talking about, all of the things get a lot easier and you can applaud improvement. And it's not like somebody's under a microscope. You can also catch these friction points so much easier. I know for myself, as we've grown, different people have different skill sets. We grow out of certain things. People want to stick with what they've always known, and it causes friction. Me as a leader, I constantly look in the mirror and be like, well, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And the thing that always came true is what I'm doing wrong is coaching them and having difficult conversations to say, are you on board or off board? Do we need to change your role? Do you want to stay in something different? And if that's even a possibility. But every time we've had to do that, it's always like it's been on that person's mind too. It's just somebody has to step up to that plate. And generally speaking, you can get to a much better working environment once you figure out what's working, what's not, and what the plan is. But you as the leader have to build a business for yourself, not around staff or team members. And so if something's not working and people are unwilling to change, sometimes we have to make difficult decisions. But you're not going to drive employee engagement when there's rifts and fights between you and the team and or the team and themselves. So one of the things you have to do is find a way and a mechanism to address this as quickly as possible and as routinely as possible, so people know boundaries and they start acting accordingly. When things go unnoticed and unmentioned, that's when things get even more difficult and you're going to disengage employees, which means they're not connected to your goals, which means that they're not having fun at the job. And you'll know it because that morale sinks down real low. So that's our 3-minute tip. Hope to see you soon.